This camera is balancing so precariously on the tripod. I'm trying not to have it drop. We'll see how this goes. What's up guys, it's Devin, and today I am going to be filming my very first book review. So if you couldn't tell by the title of the video, this book review is for Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This book, oh my goodness, I have so much to say about this book, so I'm gonna get right into the review. So the first part of this review is the non-spoilery part. I'm just gonna share general thoughts about the book, but then I'm gonna go into more specifics, and I'll warn you when that part's coming. Basically, I know I'm how many ever years late on the Infernal Devices bandwagon, but I am so glad that I got on that bandwagon because it is just so amazing. This book, I have said it before and I'll say it again, this book stands head and shoulders above the other two. Like, Clockwork Angel I thought was kind of like, that wasn't bad, but then Clockwork Prince, I'm like, yeah, this is getting pretty good. This book ruined me. I have never cried at a book. I ugly cried at this book. There were several times that I teared up, but at the end, the epilogue, I lost it. I cried so hard, and everybody in my house was asleep at the time, so I'm like sitting by myself, well, not by myself, my dogs were there, sitting with my dogs like like trying not to wake anyone up as I'm just tearing up reading this, like tears streaming down my face. It was not a pretty sight. The way that the whole series wrapped up, I think this was an amazing way to wrap up the series and to just finish out this whole trilogy. Like it was just perfect. It answered all the questions, it left you satisfied, it's a really interesting way that it ends. I think that's all I have to say for the non-spoilery part, so if you haven't read it, you don't want to be spoiled, just click the little exit button, go read the Infernal Devices trilogy, and then come on back and we can talk about it. If you're still here, it means that you've either already read it, or you just don't care about being spoiled. Or maybe you were already spoiled by someone, so you've just given up on reading it. Either way, you're still here and we can talk about the specifics of the book. First off, I need to talk about that epilogue, because that killed me. It wasn't so much when she saw Jem, because Jem wasn't a silent brother anymore. That did not really affect me. What affected me was her talking about Will dying. That ruined me. I was crying when she was talking about their kids and the fact that they named their kid Jem or James. Like that part, I was ugly crying. And then the fact that at the end of Will's life, it was Will, Tessa, and Jem. Because Jem came as the silent brother to send him off. And it was just so heartbreaking. I couldn't even handle it. I think I had to like put the book down for a second because I couldn't even handle it. The whole end of this book was just kind of a blur for me, because the beginning of the book took me probably like 2 or 3 months to actually read, because I was reading a little bit here, a little bit there, but then the end of the book, I just like powered through the last 150 pages in like 2 days. But there was another part when Tessa in the epilogue was talking to, well, not talking to anyone, she was narrating, saying that when Will died, he looked super old, and she, because she's immortal, still looked like the same Tessa. And that was so heartbreaking. But the fact that she said she didn't care because every time she looked at Will, she still saw the boy she fell in love with, that was so beautiful. It really, truly shows that she does love Will, and that she wasn't just being with him because Jem died. But it was an absolutely amazing ending, an amazing epilogue. So the overall tone of this book I found was really, it was similar to the rest of the series, which it had some really intense parts and some really heartbreaking parts, but it also was very funny. Like, it had that comic relief at exactly the right points. Like, it wasn't like you were bawling your eyes out and they tried to lighten the mood and make it funny. No, they like let you have your sad moment. They let you have that. And then they brought in the comic relief, which I think was perfect timing. Cassandra Clare is an absolute literary genius. I like praise this woman. She is incredibly talented in every possible way. The only thing I really found different about the tone of this particular installment in the trilogy is that it had a lot more sentimental monologues and emotion. I didn't really find that it had this much emotion and feeling in the other books. It was mostly present in this novel, and I thought that was really what it needed to wrap up the trilogy, was to have the reader feel all those emotions, grieve about everything, and really just have closure, you know? I thought that was really awesome. But can't we just talk about the fact that this whole series, it has like the main love triangle that has all these little sad love pairs, and I thought that was amazing. I found a lot of the side characters kind of like, oh, I want to get back to the main character, I want to get back to them. There wasn't really a lot of characters in this novel that I didn't like. I mean, obviously, I didn't like Mortmain and everything that he stood for. I didn't really find him that amazing as a villain. I didn't find him as intriguing as Sebastian in The Mortal Instruments, or even Valentine in The Mortal Instruments, but I really did hate Mortmain. But still, even all the side characters I really loved. There wasn't really a side character or side relationship that I wasn't supportive of. I wanted Cecily and Gabriel to get together. I wanted Sophie and Gideon to get together. I just had so many OTPs in this novel. To be honest, I completely forgot about the whole Charlotte being pregnant thing until it was mentioned in this novel, and I just kind of went, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. I found the other two books to blur together entirely for me. Like, I just couldn't, I still can't establish the events of, I can't distinguish the events of one novel from the other novel. So this was kind of a different, this book definitely stood out because it was so much better, but because it had all those memorable moments, and I'm like, that happened in the third book, that 100% happened in the third book. So like Charlotte being pregnant, it just slipped my mind because I think it was mentioned in the last novel. They didn't make a huge deal about it, but they made a bigger deal about it in this novel, obviously, because Charlotte was very limited in what she could and couldn't do. Like, she couldn't go fighting anymore because of the baby. Honestly, when Henry, like, they thought Henry died, my jaw fell open. I couldn't believe it. It didn't even cross my mind that Charlotte was pregnant until after, because I keep forgetting that important little detail, that Charlotte was pregnant. So when Henry died, I was kind of like, oh my god, I can't believe it. That is the one death that I truly believed in this book, and I really thought, he's done, he's dead, like, he's gone. And it was so heartbreaking when Charlotte was just crying over him, saying, he's alive, and as soon as Charlotte said that, I was like, believe her. But you know, the whole idea that Jem died, I didn't really believe it. So I was like, well, yeah, they made a big deal about it, it's really sad, but it's only halfway through the book. There's no way they can go through another half book without Jem. There is no way that that's gonna happen. This is just getting, like, it was really sad and I was heartbroken. But I didn't truly believe that Jem had died. The thing that I found really heartbreaking, though, was that Jem found out about Will and Tessa while on his deathbed. Like, he found out that Will loved Tessa. That was sad. That was a really hard thing to read. The fact that, like, the guy's dying, and his fiance's just been captured, and now all of a sudden Will tells him. He didn't mean to tell him. He thought Jem was like asleep. He thought he was like out. He couldn't hear him, so he was talking about it with Magnus, and all of a sudden Jem wakes up like, what? 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 You heard that? What? Of course, that's the one thing you hear out of everything. Honestly, when it was revealed, okay, we need to talk about the fact that Tessa found out what she is. She's a half demon, half shadow hunter, which is just, it blew my mind, but like the whole kind of mythology about this series kind of just, like I didn't really remember much, but when they were explaining it, saying that like demon and shadow hunters can't have babies because they're stillborn, and they finally reveal what Tessa was, which is like the huge mystery of the entire series. And I think that was a great choice, that you know, she's a shadow hunter and a demon, because it shows that like while you have demon blood, you still don't have to turn out like a psychopath. Sebastian. I just found it really interesting that Tessa was a shadow hunter and a demon, like the idea that they could switch babies, like human babies with shadow hunters babies, and then shadow hunter babies would be raised in the real world, like that, just in the mundane world, I guess. Okay, so about the whole Will, Tessa, Jem love triangle, I think we need to talk about that, because this is the love triangle that I really had a hard time picking a side. I eventually picked this, like, Will. Like, I liked Will with Tessa, and as the story went on, I liked Will with Tessa more and more, and then it's not that I didn't like Jem with Tessa, I just think Will and Tessa are a better fit. As the story went on, I really liked Jem as an individual character. I found him very sentimental, like obviously he's the sweetest guy in the whole world, and I really loved him as an individual character, and I wanted to see him end up happy. But the idea that he ended up with Tessa was a little, like, I felt betrayed. Because Cassandra Clare, she finally picked a side, and it was Will's side. And then Will dies, and Tessa's still young, and then all of a sudden Jem isn't a silent brother anymore. For some random reason. Like, he found a cure. Like, what? What? I'm pretty sure that Jem's cure has something to do with City of Ashes. I'm fairly certain. When Valentine, like, kills all the silent brothers, I think something happened to Brother Zachariah. Like, I don't think he died. I don't know. It's just, this book frustrates me, but it is amazing. The idea that Jem was a silent brother, though, actually hurt. I didn't want Jem to be a silent brother because that meant he would just become remote and he would lose all of the emotion. He would lose all the personality that made him Jem. And I didn't want that to happen. I wanted to see him end up with a new girl that was introduced in the series. Maybe like, and even an old character, like maybe Jem and Sophie. I didn't want Jem and Cecily because I thought that was kind of weird. But even Jem and Sophie would have been cute together. I just don't like the idea that he became a silent brother. I get so that it was the only way for him to live. It was the only way for him to become immortal and to end up with Tessa at the very end of the series. But I just didn't, I wasn't on board with that whole idea. Final battle. The final battle between all these automatons and the shadow hunters. Like, you got Will and Tessa, who just had this amazing night together, and then they're thrown into this battle when everyone comes to save them. But all of a sudden, it's over. Like, it's like, oh, done. It was very anticlimactic. Like, it's probably bad, but I think more people should have died. Like, more named characters to make it feel more impactful. Like, I get that Henry lost the use of his legs, but I feel like such a bad reader for wanting characters to die. I just think it would have been a nice addition. It would have been a way to add more impact to that whole final battle, because the entire time I was like, oh, they're fighting, nothing we've ever seen. But then when Tessa became an angel, like she reached into her clockwork angel, I didn't understand. I didn't really get it because it was following Tessa, and she didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand what happened there until everyone kind of gave their version of the events after. I just found it, like, the final battle was kind of disappointing. I expected it was probably a total of like 5 pages, and then there was 100 pages of catch-up of like, where are these characters now? Where are these characters in 200 years? You know, like, it was just, it could have been longer, could have been more, could have been more depth, could have had the shadow hunters all come from the council, like the ones who lived. They could have had some of them get away, come to the portal, come help them, like, figure out a technical way, like, just add more people, add more suspense. It was not enough, I think. So anyway, that is it for my Clockwork Princess review. Make sure that you pick up this book and the entire Infernal Devices trilogy. I will be leaving the Infernal Devices trilogy Goodreads page down below, as well as just the Clockwork Princess one. And this was overall such a great book. Out of 10, I would give this 9.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this book. I thought the characters were amazing. I loved the plot. I loved everything about it. I mean, I'm always going to have complaints about a book, but I really did enjoy this one. So make sure that you follow me on social media. All of my links will be in the description as usual. Make sure that you give this video a big thumbs up because it really does help. Make sure that you comment down below saying what you thought of this book and the entire series as a whole, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Anyways, that is all for me and my shelfie.